This is Principle 10 of 11 against the Chinese Marxist model, that the Chinese will not accept the polluted air, water, and soil that China has become. Back in 1985 and 1988, when I visited China and rode bicycles around Beijing, in a sea of bicycles, as they were the primary mode of transportation along with buses, the inside of your nose would be covered with soot, and when you blew your nose, it would be unlike something you'd ever experienced before. And the grit on your teeth was also a new phenomenon. It was as if you had been at the beach in the surf and sand had entered your mouth. Not quite that volume, but a new experience of grime and soot. It was in fact worse than Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia at that time. And those two cities were overrun with three-wheeled tuk-tuks and motorcycles. 1988 was only 10 years after the economic growth had started to pick up in China after 1978. But it really went into warp speed after China's admission into the World Trade Organization in 2002. In 1988, China imported 50,000 barrels per day of oil. By 2023, this was 11.2 million barrels of oil a day. Their consumption of oil had hit its highest level in September 2024. Pollution in Beijing had been so bad before the 2008 Beijing Olympics that they shut down manufacturing and power generation to lessen the chance of smog descending on the city and on the competitions. Athletes were warned before they went to China of the possible health risks of air and water pollution. The response of China has been not to pollute less, but to put industry and power generation outside of population centers. The construction of coal-fired power plants continues unabated to this day. They run figurative extension cords from these power plants into the cities to then run electric vehicles of taxis, cars, buses to burn the high sulfur Chinese coal, which generates electricity for these EVs. To further pursue a so-called quote-unquote green economy, they mine cobalt, manganese, aluminum outside of China. And to power these mines and the refining of these minerals, they build yet more coal-fired power plants right there next to the mineral extraction. The air pollution and resulting soil and water pollution is so bad, it was estimated by Frontiers publication based on a China Health and Retirement longitudinal study for 2015 to 2018 on the physical and mental health of middle-aged and elderly residents, and they found the negative impacts of pollution on acute shock, chronic shock, memory ability, cognitive ability, and depression, and the aggravation of existing illnesses. AI tells us of the increased rates of lung cancer, respiratory diseases like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, strokes, heart disease, premature deaths from fine particulate matter. Their solid fuel use, like coal, increases COPD mortality by threefold. Now, Beijing used to have such unhealthy air that on your iPhone app, again, it would show unhealthy air, but that has gotten better. Could that be the result of moving power generation and industry outside of the city? Water pollution is also an issue. The Chinese years ago were putting 28 times as much plastic into the ocean as the United States. That boiled down to a per capita basis 7 times as much plastic pollution hitting the oceans. But China is not alone in this. India and Indonesia are equally egregious. These Asian nations are building the 8th continent of plastic in the Pacific Ocean. Consider the Three Gorges Dam on the mighty Yangtze River. It's about 200 miles west of the Wuhan River, the epicenter of the coronavirus 2019. There's so much plastic and garbage that builds up behind this dam that they had to invent machines to eat up this garbage and put it on barges, because it's very hard to run turbines powered by water if the intakes get jammed up with plastic and other debris. China went from a place you would want to go to in the 1980s to advance your career in a dynamic country that was growing by leaps and bounds, And to now, it would be a serious health consideration whether you would accept a 2-year posting to this polluted place. The Chinese citizen is fed up. They live in the fouled air, water, and soil. It threatens the health of all citizens. The CPC is working to clean it up, not because they love the environment, but because they love power. A polluted China which keeps adding new coal-fired power plants every month is a threat to the CPC's grip on power. At some point, the Chinese citizen may say that they have had enough. You can read about this 10th principle in my book, China, Demise of a Civilization, the 11 Principles of History and Economics Against the Chinese Marxist Model. Thank you.